Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Worker from Gameperial. I'm going to run you guys through a quick Dota 2 support guide that I put together. Hopefully help you guys increase your gameplay as the support character and help you guys win some games. Let's do this. Alright, so let's start with character selection. Character selection is important because you have to decide for the game what kind of support role you want to fill. You need to decide if you want ranged or if you want melee supports. Here you have all the supports that are listed as by Valve. Now we're going to be covering a couple heroes in this video. One of them is going to be Omni Knight. He's more of a melee support with some heals, which is good to use. Crystal Maiden, got some more disables, no heals, but still some mono regen. And then Dazzle. Dazzle will be a good hero that we'll be using. These are the three heroes that we're going to be focusing on in this guide, but you can use any of these heroes listed here. Alright, we're going to do a quick coverage of lane composition. Basically, you want to avoid the middle and go in either side lane. Go with the carry and make sure, above all else, that you do not get put solo. Leave a carry in that lane or something else. You should be avoiding that. Alright, so now let's talk about the starting items that you want to get. There's a couple starting items that I highly recommend as support. Now you can go with your own if you like. First is the Sentry Ward. That's only if you're going against invis units like Bounty Hunter or something. But you should be picking up an Observer Ward for the early game. You need to be picking up at least the Courier to help support your team. Then you should be picking up a Clarity Potion to keep your mana up so you can use your spells, some Tangos to top off your health every now and then Healing Salve. Last thing I would say is an Iron Branch. Gives you a little bit of attributes and helps use up that little bit of extra gold that you have in the end. We're not going to really cover late game items as it varies per hero what you really want to get, so that will be something that you'll have to kind of get the use for later. Alright, now we're going to talk about warding. Warding is the single most important thing for you to get as a support because you'll be doing it all game and this is where most of your gold goes. Here are the two spots that I recommend warding if you're up in the top lane. Either team, it doesn't matter. This helps you give the rune control as well as vision for ganks. Now if you are the Radiant and they are pulling, you can place this ward over here to help stop the pulls, but keep in mind you will be vulnerable to jungle ganks, more so if you get covered from the top. Next, we're going to talk about down in the bottom lane. Bottom lane, you're going to want to move your wards down here. Again, this is for either team because you will be getting ganks coverage from middle and forest as well as rune control. And you also can place the ward down here if you need to stop the pulling. But keep in mind, you will have to keep an eye out on the river in case middle comes down through river and or through the jungle, but you should have plenty of time to react. Now let's talk about a little bit into the mid and late games. The mid and late games are really heavily dependent on whether you're winning or losing the game. If you're winning the game, you're going to want to place more aggressive wards here. The red wards is for the Dire, the blue and green wards is for the Radiant. As you can see, this gives you good coverage of the enemy's forest as well as their movements. Now if you're losing the game, you're going to want to move the wards around. These wards here are more defensive placement wards because this allows you to go through your jungle and farm, but also see for any potential ganks coming and or stoppage. But if you did notice, Roshan is always warded by both teams. Alright, now we're moving on to the phases of the game. The laning phase is the single most important phase for your support role. In this phase, you are going to be setting your carries up to be dominating the late game. In this portion, you're just here to babysit the carries and make sure they get the most amount of gold and experience gain as they can in the early game. And you're going to be the one directly affecting that. And here's what we're going to do. There's a couple of strategies that can be used in this. There's harassing the enemy heroes. There's stacking and pulling, as well as moving around and warding and dewarding certain spots of the map. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the harassing to make sure that you can help stop the enemy experience gain and gold gain. Alright, for harassing it's pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to ignore the enemy creeps and focus on attacking the other enemy hero. Now this is done very well with a ranged support class as you see here in the video against a melee support. You can push them completely out of the lane, giving them no gold and no experience farm while your carry has all the time in the world to free farm. If you have a melee support, I would highly recommend not using this method. Alright, on to the next method is stacking. Stacking is attacking the mobs at 55 seconds on the clock at any minute, and this will pull the mobs out of their camp. You must then run far enough away so that the camp can respawn new mobs at the minute mark. this is good for when you go into pulling the lane, which is what we're going to talk about now. For pulling the lane, I usually wait till the creeps reach about this portion of my minimap. Once they're there, go ahead and attack the creeps in the jungle. This forces them out to follow you into your lane. By doing so, you're going to make your creeps in lane attack the jungle creeps, pulling them out of lane. Now what this does overall is it gives you, the support, a chance to earn some solo EXP from jungle creeps, as well as gold if you can land the last hit before your creeps do. This also helps your carry in lane immensely. What this does is it gives them a level and gold advantage over the enemy heroes in their same lane. It does this by your creeps dying in the jungle while helping you farm, and giving your carry the solo experience from their enemy creeps. This could be very effective to making a huge difference in the early game for levels and experience gain. Here you can see, after just a few minutes of doing the stacking and pulling, my team has severely out-leveled the other team. Now I know I talked about warding a little bit earlier in the video, but I just wanted to show you guys a quick example of warding in the early game. It's quickly running out to your ward spots, dropping your wards to gain the vision, and then returning to the lane to help your carry push off. Now when you are warding, I would highly recommend carrying around the sentry wards to take out the enemy wards, giving you guys an vision advantage throughout the game, bringing us into the mid and late game. Now mid and late game as a support class becomes easier than the carry role in the game. All you need to do here as a support is continue your warding and dewarding throughout the whole game in support of your team, and then sticking with your teammates. As you can see in the video, I get a little ahead of my teammates here, but I'm able to pull it back into a good gank setup. Now this is something that you can do if you're confident in your support play. However, I highly recommend at first sticking with your team and making sure that you stay back and throwing in your support skills as you can. Here you can see that I'm constantly moving back and forth in the fight, pushing it out, baiting just a little bit, but also making sure that I keep an eye on my health so that I do not get killed and end up feeding the enemy team. Overall in this fight, we lose no heroes and we get a couple kills thanks to a little bit of smart play throughout everybody and backing up just right. Now if you do end up getting too far separated from your team, it could cause problems. And this is you're squishy as a support. You're going to get ganked, and you're going to get ganked by their whole team, especially if they're losing. Anyways guys, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you liked this video. If you want to see more, go ahead, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you want to see, and subscribe and check out some other of our videos. It'd be greatly appreciated.